Now that we've got scorekeeping taken care of, explosions ready to go, let's make it so that we can actually die. The death instance in this particular case would be as if we run into an asteroid inside the game. So going back to our player script, we're going to make a few little adjustments to our code, basically adding our player situation where if we run into an asteroid, the game's over. So we need to have a collision event for the asteroid. We'll go down here to the bottom, and I'm going to add a new function. This is going to be for on-trigger enter, just like for our bullet. So what we've done is we've got an on-trigger enter inside of our player. If the other object that we run into is an asteroid, we destroy the asteroid, and we do a player lives -1. So player lives minus minus is the same thing as player lives equals player's lives -1. This is called decrementing the variable. So we decrease the value of it by 1. We could go ahead and add 100 points to the player's score because they did blow up a asteroid, which is the goal of the game. So we'll go ahead and do that too. There we go. So they get 100 points, but they also lose a life inside the game. So now when we play the game, we should see a decrease in the score when we hit an asteroid. So I'll see if I can't hit an asteroid here. Oh, we do have a little problem here before we go too far. Currently the lives is set at 0, so that's not really what we want. So let's go ahead and set that to 3. There we go. There we go, and lives has been decreased by 1, and we've got a score of 100. Might want to fire a explosion event to go with that, but that can be added as we move along in the game. We're ready really to set up our win and lose conditions inside the game. So let's go back to our script for the player, and in our update we need to check and see if their lives have gone below 0 or if the score's gone above 500. So in update, after my checking to see if the person has fired using the space bar, and if you're curious, the way we would check and see if they've pressed the left mouse button to fire, we can just simply do a or input dot get mouse button, and now it will, if they press the space bar or the left mouse button, it will shoot in the. So let's check and see if we've got a win or lose type situation. So if player score is greater than or equal to 500, in this case they've blown up all 5 asteroids, then we're going to tell it to print you won the game, and that'll show up at the bottom of the screen. Nothing real fancy here. We're just trying to set up a win type situation. We can augment this as we go along. And we also need a lose situation. So if player lives is less than or equal to 0, there we go. So fastest way to check this, of course we should always check anytime you make any changes to your code, would be do a little play testing, which is the best part of being a game developer. 5, and there's a 5th one somewhere around here. There it is, right below me. Okay, so we've won. Oh, I forgot to change my lives variable from different than 0, so we need to go ahead and do that in the game. There. One thing you need to remember that is if you change any of these variables while the game is playing, it's not permanent. You're just simply play testing it. You can always come back and change this permanently inside the environment when you're not playing the game. So any changes you make while the game is not in play test mode will be saved in memory, and you'll be able to work from that. Once your graphics art people have finished and your 3D modelers, texturers, etc. have finished their projects, you can go ahead and import those in and replace your temporary meshes with objects. Now my modeler has finished a starfighter here so that we can use that inside the environment very simple ship that can be used in place of the current ship inside the environment. To replace that, we can simply go to our player, change the mesh. I've selected the cube mesh that's currently there, and select the new asset in that environment. Now, inside the environment, I've got the new ship that is there. It's currently not textured, it's just simply the red coloring that I've already placed on the player that can be applied from our from your materials as well. I've got materials set for this particular starfighter mesh, so it's not a big deal. It's just a matter of changing those and setting them so that they're not red in this particular case. So we can just simply go over to the starfighter mesh and apply the various textures to the environment. So that's easy to do. Currently, you do need to watch when you do your import for anything from 3ds Max, Maya, whatever. When you go to the object itself and click on it, there's a scaling factor for the import. Now this particular time it came in okay, but currently my scale factor is set to 0.01, and that might bring in the object just far too small for what you're trying to do. So you may need to increase this, and that'll automatically resize the object so that it looks appropriate to your environment. Mine looks fine right now. I am going to want to change some graphs on it or the texturing on it, but as you can see, it is now in the environment in place of it. You can do the same thing when you go to your asteroids. Once that's ready to go, you just simply go into your mesh, change out your mesh with your new item, and apply the materials to that so that it looks good. We've just got 2 more steps to do before we're ready to actually deploy this to the web. First thing that we need to do is create our main menu win-lose screens. Now I'm going to do these as levels. So to do this, I'm going to make sure my current level is saved. So I'm going to save the scene, and then I'm going to create a new scene and all I did was File and New. As you can see, it's now blank. Go to File, Save Scene, and I'm going to again put it in the scene area and call this one Main Menu. Do the same thing again, File, New Scene, and File, Save Scene, and again save it into the scene folder, and this one's going to be called Win, and one last scene for Lose. Now we've got Main Menu, Win, Level 1, Lose, and Win. Now I'm going to go over here to my File, Build Settings, and you can see you've got scenes in the build. You need to drag in the scenes that are going to be in the build when we play the game, and these need to be done in sequential order for how they should show up in the play. So the first thing that should show is the main menu, then level 1, and then by code we'll call lose and win. So they should just simply come after level 1. It doesn't matter whether lose or win comes first. Do pay attention to the number that's off here to the side. Main menu is level 0, level 1 is 1, lose is 2, and win is 3. And that is going to be critical here in just a few seconds for your programming, that you know what each of those are. So 0, 1, 2, and 3. So we need to just simply do a little bit of scripting to set everything up for the win-lose situation. Now previously we had done that in our player, and inside player you could win or lose the game based upon the score that occurred. Well, instead we're going to create some different scripts that handle the win and lose type situation. So I'm going to go back here to the main menu, and let's set the script up for main menu first. So going to scene, main menu, and you can see main menu is the level I'm on up here at the top. And let's create a new script for the main menu, and that will be named the main menu script. And that's not what I wanted to do. Let's get that renamed. There we go. And I want that script to be in the script folder, so I'll drag that down. There we go. And now we're set to go for editing and getting that ready to go. There's no function update on this one, so I'm just going to delete that. And we're just simply going to do an on GUI type environment, and this is quick and easy. The main menu is just an on GUI. It's going to display to the screen some instruction text. The instructions are instructions, and then you've got I'm going to put a colon after that for clarity. You've got \n, which forces a line feed. Press W and S to move, right mouse button to change direction, space bar to fire. And then display that on the screen. Then we're going to place a button on the screen. If GUI button, which we've set to be a rectangle of 10 by 60 at location 1060 with a size of 200 pixels by 50, start game. If somebody clicks on that, it'll automatically go to application.loadLevel1, which, as we said before, load level, or the level 1 is scene 1, which is my level 1 in the game. So that's set to go. Now all we have to do is set up our win and lose type situations. So let's go back, and again I need to, whoops, it looks like I forgot a semicolon on line 6. Okay, once you've got the code set for it to load, then all we need to do is associate that script with our camera on the main menu level. So now when you play, you'll get instructions, press W and S to move, right mouse to change, space bar to fire. Looks like we need to move the button down a little bit. So let's do that real quick in our script. Move it down a little bit further and see how that looks. There we go. And when we hit the start game, there's our game. We're now inside the environment, able to move around. All we have left to do then is set up our win and lose scripts. JavaScript. This will be for lose. Go to our lose layer and edit the lose script. Again, that'll be entirely an on GUI. So we've set up a GUI button. Again, you lost, press play again, and loads a button. They click on it, takes it back to the main menu instead of level 1. We could tell it, obviously, that we wanted to load level 1 and it would jump right back there, but in this case it goes back, gives them the instructions again. If we have a more sophisticated main menu, we might offer multiple levels or other selections from there as well. And associate the lose with the main menu, and looks like I have a script error. Oh, forgot a curly bracket. There we go. And now we can associate with the main camera. There we go. And save this layer or scene. And do this last but not least, our win scene. So again, we need to create a script. And basically the same thing again. We'll let them go back, and it's going to be very similar to our lose script. There we go. So win is now set up. Does almost exactly the same thing as the lose script. Associate it, main camera. Last thing we need to do is go back to the level 1 layer and change our script for the player to handle our new win-lose type situations. Instead of printing you've won the game, we want to go to the win layer or the lose layer. There we go. And then of course you should always fully check to make sure your game's working the way that you want it to. So I'll go ahead and quickly make sure that everything is working the way we want it to. There we go. You win, press to play again, goes back to the main menu with the instructions, and then we can start the game. So we've now got the game ready to publish to the web. To build and deploy to the web, we've got everything set up the way we want. Make sure you do save your scene, save your project, make sure everything's ready. Then go to either build settings or build and run. I like to do it through build settings and click on build and run. It's going to ask where do you want to save this to. I'm going to save it to my desktop just to make things simple. It'll go through, it'll compile, build the set, and do some compression. And then if you've already got the Unity web player loaded onto your system, you'll see it load up. There we've got our start game. And as you can see, we can go around in our environment and play our game. We've successfully done that. Now that's of course still only on our local system. The actual files are there in the desktop that I just created, and those have to be copied to a web server someplace, and you have to set up a web page. And on my desktop it created a web player page, which includes the HTML as well as the web player. And if you take a look at the code, the webplayer.html, you can see that everything is there. It checks for the Unity web player for them to be able to install it now, and then does a load of the web player download that we've created. All you need to do is deploy what's in the web player folder on wherever you've created this. We've got webplayer.html, and of course you can customize this HTML for your own personal use, put your own materials on that. And then also the webplayer.unity3D, deploy that to your web server, and you've built your first Unity game. Of course, you can also deploy to PC or Mac, and that'll download an executable or a DMG file depending on the platform, and allow people to play the game on their local system instead of through a web browser. So both are easy components and allow you to get your game up and running pretty quick. And as you can see, we've done this very quickly for creating a simple game. There's a lot more that we could add to this to make it a little bit more sophisticated, but it more than meets the requirements that we set forth on starting this particular project. If you have any questions, please see me at www.burtonsmediagroup.com. These tutorials and others are available in the blog section.